the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
If we are divided, we can't win. But if we're united, we can't lose.
First historic first address, a flood of emotions for many watching as the state's first black governor is sworn in. We've got live team coverage as the celebration continues. And stretching your dollar, car insurance rates are tracking upward in 2023. How much more could you pay and save? That's ahead. And it's been 1 week since Loudoun County transit workers went on strike, what they're planning to do until their voices are heard. And thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 5. I'm Mark Hall. From political figures from across the country to Oprah Winfrey, the inauguration of the Moore Miller administration ushers in a new era in the state of Maryland. All right, taking a live look outside at the Kennedy Center overlooking the Potomac River. Even though the day started with some fog, it soon turned into gorgeous weather with temperatures in the 50s and sunny blue skies. Heading over now to meteorologist Damon Matson with a check on the forecast. Damon, is this weather sticking around, or are we expecting rain or even a cool down?
Well, Mark, today was a treat from Mother Nature, no doubt, but we got some changes coming as we get into the end of the week. But first and foremost, here's the big one from today, the big story. How about it? Once again, here in the month of January, we have reached the 60-degree mark in D.C. That was the official high temperature in the metro here today. Off to the south in Northern Virginia, it was even warmer still as those temperatures climbed into the mid-60s in Culpeper, Fredericksburg, and then off to the north and west, it stayed mostly in the 50s as we had a little bit more cloud cover earlier this morning in places like Cumberland, Martinsburg, and Hagerstown. And there's a fine dividing line as far as it goes with those temperatures. Again, we got some of that warmth, but our friends off to the north and west pretty much stayed in the 30s and 40s. So yeah, we were lucky enough to at least get some of those warmer temperatures. Now, as we move ahead through the evening, not much changing. It's going to be a mild one, no doubt. Those temperatures do start to cool off as we get through the rest of the evening time, down into the 40s once again, and we continue to have some of that clear sky. But as time rolls along, we will start to see more clouds in the mix because of this storm system. This is a pretty big one right across the center of the country with multiple impacts, a lot of thunderstorm activity across parts of the deep south. And then we have a winter weather factor with this back across Nebraska, the upper Midwest. A winter storm currently ongoing, and you can see the impact with those warnings in place. We have winter storm warnings stretching from Colorado right into the Great Lakes and then down across some of those southern states, Louisiana, Mississippi, seeing a tornado watch. So this storm system has a pretty high impact ongoing right now, and that is what's tracking our direction as we get into the night tonight and then the start of the day tomorrow. So one of the big questions, is this storm system going to bring just as much impact for us as it arrives tomorrow? And should we just be expecting that rainfall, and for how long? We'll have a check of that full forecast coming up here in just a little bit.
All right, Damon, thank you so much. New updates tonight following the shooting in Southeast D.C. that killed one woman and sent 2 others to the hospital. Police saying that they have made an arrest in connection to the deadly incident. DC News Now's Katie Reed joins us in studio with an update. Katie.
Good evening. Now, police say that they've arrested a 15-year-old who they believe, or who they are now charging with secondary murder charges with a weapon, but the police report indicates that he might not have been the first to shoot. Now, police have first arrived in Benning Road Southeast near H Street shortly before 9 p.m. on Tuesday night. That's when they found 3 people who had been shot, a man, a 15-year-old boy, and another woman. Investigators say that after the 15-year-old was shot, he then took out a gun and fired it off multiple times, hitting and killing the woman, who's since been identified as 54-year-old Dale Henson of Southeast D.C. The 2 male victims were taken to a local hospital for treatment, but the woman didn't show any signs of life, and her body has been taken to the chief medical examiner's office. I was able to speak with one concerned neighbor who's tired of all the violence, but not only for her own safety, but for the safety of her young granddaughter who goes to daycare just down the street from where the shooting took place.
And that could have been me in that Chinese store. But yesterday I wanted something to eat. I'm just so glad I went out here with her. That lady was going to the store, minding her business. And some youngins or whatever came through and started shooting. I don't care, they talking about they 15, 16. Oh, they not grown yet. They ain't 21. I don't care, they know what they doing.
The new deputy mayor for public safety and justice, Lindsay Appiah, told DC News Now in a statement last night another tragic incident of gun violence involving a young person in our city has left members of our DC community dead and lives of the others forever altered. She also offered her condolences to the victims and their families and also offered her redoubled commitment to work together to utilize every resource to ensure that residents in every community across the district are safe and feel safe. And this incident is still under investigation, but when I was out on Benning Road earlier this afternoon, people were apparently packing up that Moonstar carryout before locking the door and driving away. DC Police is also asking anyone with information to please contact them. In the newsroom, Katie Ree, DC News Now.
I'm asking you to understand that it is time for our policies to be as bold as our aspirations and to confront the fact that we have been offered false choices. We do not have to choose between a competitive economy and an equitable one.
Governor Wes Moore, his historic inauguration in Maryland brings hugs and calls for unity. DC News Now's Annalisa Gale is live in Annapolis for us tonight. Annalisa, what was it like?
Mark, you could feel the sense of pride beaming in the audience today. Today, many say this is a day they will remember for a long time, as it is now recorded in the history books.
Very historic day. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to give the opening prayer for today's Maryland General Assembly session.
I started following Wes's campaign in the summer of 2021. At the time, I was a sitting delegate, and Wes, the very first time I spoke to him, there was something dynamic about him that I hadn't seen in really any of the other gubernatorial candidates at the time.
I served at every level of government. I never thought I'd be here supporting a Maryland governor that looked like me. So I already had a lot of love for my state, but my heart is beaming with joy for the future.
More than 1,000 people gathered in Annapolis on Wednesday for the inauguration of Wes Moore, only the third black governor to be sworn in the nation's history. And the 63rd governor of Maryland.
Right now, we are standing here in our history, in our shared history, in our collective history, made by people who over the past 2 centuries, regardless of their origin story to this state, fought and built a state and a country that works for everybody.
At his side, his wife, Dawn Moore, and his 2 children, along with his new co-pilot, Aruna Miller, the first lieutenant governor who is a woman of color and first South Asian woman in the role.
12 years ago, I was sworn in to the same state house as a delegate from District 15, where I served for 8 years.
Her daughter sharing an emotional tribute.
I said I wasn't going to cry. It is her commitment to public service that led me to become a public school teacher.
In the audience, elementary school students and celebrities like Oprah Winfrey, who supported Moore throughout his campaign.
That with Wes Moore as your governor, Maryland's best days lie ahead.
In his address, Moore stayed focused on his mission as governor, encouraging Marylanders to work together.
But climate change is an existential threat, and it is happening now in our communities. And so confronting climate change represents another chance for Maryland to lead.
And we're told that the dress worn today by the new First Lady of Maryland would actually be donated to a museum and then later to a nonprofit for young women looking for prom dresses. Live in Annapolis tonight, Annalisa Gale, DC News Now.
Annalisa, thank you. The inauguration ceremony brought Marylanders to the state capitol today from across the state. And people from Washington County boarded a bus to see firsthand the historic moment.
Historical day in my state of Maryland. I've been following Wes Moore probably for about 10 years now, and I'm just really proud of him.
His running mate, Aruna Miller, has probably fascinated more people. She's an intelligent woman. I can't wait to see them work together.
And the People's Inaugural Ball is being celebrated in Baltimore this evening. And coming up at 5:30, we're going to hear reaction from politicians on such an historic inauguration. Well, new tonight, 2 men were arrested in connection to robbing several taxi drivers in Prince George's County. Police say that 5 armed robberies happened near Langley Park between December 12th of last year and January 2nd. The suspects reportedly contacted an independent taxi service for a ride. Once inside the car, they robbed drivers before running off. Police say a 15-year-old boy was also arrested in connection to a similar crime. Investigators say that they're looking into several other armed robberies in the last week. Taxi drivers were robbed at gunpoint or knife point. Call Crime Stoppers with any information. A new report signals car insurance rates may rise this year as inflation eases and supply chain hurdles continue for manufacturers. DC News Now's consumer reporter Ben Dennis joins us. Ben, how high are these insurance rates poised really to increase?
Nobody likes to see any of their bills go up, Mark, but this is quite the reality. We looked into the state of auto insurance in 2023, according to LendingTree. They're expecting an 8.4% jump in rates across the country, plus an uptick here at home. More on that in a moment. But thankfully, there are options to save. So what's the average annual cost? LendingTree also made a list. Virginians will pay roughly $1,400, a 12.6 uptick from last year. Pennsylvanians, nearly $1,500 this year, with a whopping 14.4% price hike year over year. In West Virginia, $1,632 this year, up 7.6%. And Marylanders, $1,716, an increase of 8.1%. And in the district, they'll pay the highest, almost $2,000, but they'll see the smallest price increases, just 0.6%. Key here for consumers. First, call your insurance providers and see if you can bargain for a lower rate. Companies, they're not required to offer you a better deal, though they may exist. Also, try usage-based insurance programs. They could lower what you pay, but there is a sacrifice here. They collect data like how fast you're traveling, speeding, acceleration, hard braking, turning, miles driven, and even if you use your phone. The better you drive, the more you save.
You usually can get at least a 10% discount for signing up, and then between 10 and 20 based on how you actually drive. You might be happy with your company, you might be happy with your agent, but to get the peace of mind that you are getting the best deal, it's good to shop around.
And about those usage-based insurance programs, based on when and how you drive, Progressive offers Snapshot. Nationwide has Smart Ride. Also, consider State Farm's Drive Safe and Save program, plus Liberty Mutual's Right Track and DriveWise by Allstate. And if you're asking yourself, why are my rates going up even without any accidents with me behind the wheel? Well, prices aren't only determined by your own driving record. They're also set because of drivers near you and how they react on the road and where you travel. More crashes on your way to work or near where you park, well, that contributes to insurance rates.